It's Memorial Day weekend, so it's time to finally plant the sweet potato slips. We've been growing them in the glass jars, letting the roots grow on them. So it's time to finally put them in the ground. Now, I'm not sure how many plants I actually have. As you can see, they're all growing roots quite well. And spacing is supposed to be anywhere from 1 to 2 feet apart. So I'm going to actually lay out the plants, see how many I have, and then I'll determine how far apart I'll plant them. So let's start taking these plants out. Got some nice roots on them, on some of them anyway. So that's 1, 2. Really healthy root development here. With 1 leaf, all those nice roots. This one, pretty huge. This actually looks like 3 different plants, and I'm going to tease them apart. So they were attached, but I was able to get 2 plants out of it, both with healthy root systems. That's interesting. I put a leaf in there and it developed roots. That's the all the plants we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've actually got a couple of more plants inside still attached to the potatoes, so they have no roots on them yet. So I'm going to actually stick them in water today. They're small, but I'm going to stick them in water today, try and get some roots on, and maybe plant them out. I'm probably going to do a 4x4 grid with these. 4 plants across, 4 plants down, so I'm going to try and get 16 plants all together. Some of these I'll probably pull off, like these leaves here, and just plant this part. This one will go in the ground deep. So I've got my dibber. This should be good for most of these plants, but for some of the bigger ones I got my trowel. Well, let's see how it goes. So like I said, I am going to pinch off these leaves here, and that way I can plant it a little bit deeper in the ground. So I'm going to try to start with this one here. I prepared the soil yesterday, filled the bed up, and use the dipper now. Can you see what I'm doing over here? Glare. So I've got those roots down into that hole. And that seems to have worked out okay, just using the dibber. Okay, I'm gonna take off this root plant here. Well, I didn't actually want to do that, but I got another plant out of it, so hopefully they'll both grow now. This one, I just can't get over the extensive roots on this one. This is probably a little bit closer together than they should be. Well, it's obviously not a foot in between them. I've got 2 stems here. I wonder if I should try, I'll pull off that one little leaf, and I'm going to take this other leaf off here. So I'm just going to go with this one. There was no 2 root system there. Now this soil that I'm planting into is just like the other soil that I typically plant into. And from what I understand though, sweet potatoes like a compact soil. The compression on their roots is what helps them to swell up. So we'll have to see if planting it in a relatively loose soil like this will have any negative effects on the plant. So it's quite possible these plants will lose their leaves, or a leaf as the case may be. And from what I understand, they'll still grow back. There's no problem with that. It's a common occurrence. Another really nice root system here. All right, well that's 16 sweet potato plants in a 3x3 space, which is probably way too dense of planting, but we'll see how they do. So it's also time to plant the Roma tomatoes. They're not nearly as far along as I would have wanted them to be, but that shouldn't be a problem. Once they're in the ground, they should grow just fine. I've got this whole row here for Romas. I think it's 14, 16 plants here. And I'm spacing them a foot apart in a triangle pattern or a zigzag pattern all the way down. I don't have enough tomato cages to do every plant, so I'm giving priority to the plants in the front, and that way the ones in the back will still be able to lean up against the fence that we got there. So all those have been planted, and I got 3 more to do. So I figured I'd show you what I'm doing in planting the tomatoes here. And so all the Romas are in. I've got about 3 or 4 left over, and I'll just pot them up into a little bigger pot and save them just in case something happens to one of these. I've also got the cherry tomatoes that still need to go in on my trellis. And the next thing we're going to do is plant the peppers. So it's going to be the same thing for the peppers. I'm going to be planting 8 pepper plants in this section. I actually had to erect a small fence. This is what I normally grew my peas on because the potatoes and the peas were encroaching over here. So just as before, I'm going to take some pre-mixed fertilizer components, the same ones I used for the tomatoes, and I'm just going to add it into the planting holes. This is bone meal, blood meal, potassium sulfate, magnesium. Yeah, it is magnesium, but it's Epsom salts and a little borax to add boron to the mix. And now I'll just mix it into the bottom of the hole, mix it in with the dirt down there. And then I'll take these plants, pop them out of these cups, and plant them in the hole. These actually got a good watering, so they don't need extra watering today. So we'll just drop these right in, firm them down, and then I'll take a little bit of the soil that we dug out of that hole and fill it in around each of the plants. So that's it for the spring and summer garden. Let me apologize for the landscapers next door. But yeah, every seed that we started this spring and early winter has now gone into the ground, and we're getting ready to start harvesting things. So this is now a real exciting time. But speaking of excitement, stay tuned next week for a big announcement from Garden Grown Groceries. I'll clue you in on what's going on. But if you want to see what we were doing in the garden last week, check out this video right here, and then subscribe and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll be able to follow along on the progress on all of our vegetables as we try to grow a supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.